My name is Deja McCray,
And I'm Yasmine Mobley.
and we're not people with neurological disorders, but
We're
epilepsy
Epilepsy Warriors.
warriors. Hello, me and this girl met at my school at SCU, Lakeland, Florida, Southeastern University. We still remember the first day.
Oh,
Yes,
I
where
sure do.
we at?
Oh, we were at SEU, and the first time we met was actually spring semester 2016. They were doing small groups, and then we reconnected the following semester, fall of 2016, and we were living in the new building that they just had opened up. It was called Buena Vita,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember she was in there doing homework, I think. And I just went in there to look at videos, honestly, because I had a bunch of roommates and I just kind of wanted to be alone, and then I saw her in there. I'm like, oh, cool, you know. And I'm like, I remember this girl. So we just started talking about life and everything. And then we got on the conversation with, our mutual, you know, this mutual relationship that we had with epilepsy. And I'm like, well, heck, so finally somebody kind of understands what I had to go through. And it was really a humbling and eye-opening experience to meet somebody else who has the same conditions I did. Because at the time I thought, I was just this lonely fish in this pond, it felt like. And when I met somebody who kind of had the same thing I had, it was all like, wow. It was almost like a magnetic sort of connection, honestly.
Yep, I'll never forget the day we met because that was the first time I ever met someone else with epilepsy, and
Hmm.
we barely meet anybody our age with it. So that just
Mm-mm.
really amazed me. Like when at first we think, wow, it feels so bad for you that you had the same condition because we know what it's like to go through it. But at the same time, it's like you said, we feel that magnetic connection. Like, oh my gosh, we have to talk more. We got to connect more. So we click like that.
Hmm. And here we are almost a decade later, and we're still talking and everything.
Yep, she was God sent friend. So yeah, that was an amazing day. Basically, yeah, just doing my homework and yep, met somebody else that goes through the same struggle. So how old were you figure out how old were you yes when you figured out you even had this condition?
I was 17, and I that summer everything felt the same. I didn't really feel any different. There was no like warning signs. You felt like you normally did. I was starting to do this summer internship in my youth group, and I was really excited about it because that was a really big turning point in my life where I really wanted to go all in for God. I got saved when I was 15, but I was kind of riding the fence for like 2 years, and then by the time I got to the end of that school year, I'm like, you know what, God, I really want to go all in this summer. And I remember thinking to myself after all of the debacle went down, I said, well, I got my prayer, didn't I? God really put me in a position where I had to go all in for him because now this unknown thing came in and like a stranger in the night, and now all of a sudden, boom, I have this condition. And I don't, there was no warning sign. Again, there's no warning signs for it. It just happened and everything. And well, you were put in the position where you really had to trust God throughout all of it. And
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. Yep, I've had it since the age of 10 now. According to my parents, they believe I had it before that, but they weren't sure. Like I still
Mhm.
remember, I'll never forget that day in fifth grade when a teacher of mine pointed out to them something that happened. I think I was asking to maybe go back outside or asking when it was time for us to go to the playground. But apparently we just came back inside from our PE time or whatever. And so she was confused on what was going on with me because I was asking strange questions and then finally asked me to get checked out. And next thing you know, I'm taking several different types of medication ever since that age, and I'm now 30.
My God. So you had the thing for 20 years. Me, I've only had it for 12. Gosh.
But yeah, we want to make this video to show everybody what November is about because a lot of people don't even know what epilepsy is.
Oh no, not the slightest. There's a lot of misunderstanding about it, and we're gonna touch bases with that a little bit with this video, but we wanted to kind of share how important November is to us. Now,
Hmm.
November is very important to me because, you know, it gives me a time to reflect. It gives me a time to really think about, okay, I have this condition, but this condition doesn't have me. My life hasn't stopped all because I have this condition. As a matter of fact, it gave me more of a incentive to keep going because if I just give up, then this disease wins, and I feel like it's a month where people like us get to tell our stories and our experiences and share our pains and our woes and not just our pain and our woe, even small victories along the way that we've all experienced. And we're gonna get to that later too. But like this is what November means for me. Plus I get to wear purple and purple's my favorite color, so
For us, though, we get to wear it all year because, like, November, that's another people represent. But yeah, epilepsy awareness, it's for us all year,
Mhm, exactly.
even if it's left our system. Now, have people ever asked things like what different types of things trigger your seizures and what kind do you have?
Oh, all the time. Whenever I mention epilepsy, that's like one of the first questions they ask. Like, what kind of seizures do you have? Like, what are your triggers and everything? Well, for me, I have two types of seizures. I have myoclonic seizures, which, if anybody knows what myoclonic is, it's isolated jerking movements on one side of the body, and usually the area of my body that would jerk in myoclonic seizures would be my left side. And then the other type of seizures that I have is your typical, seizure that everybody associates seizures with, the ones where you fall down and convulse, which is called grand mal seizures. But I heard recently that calling them grand mal seizures is kind of an antiquated term, and they would
Mhm.
refer to call it tonic clonic. But like, I'm all like, what difference does it make? It's the same thing. That's like calling an Oreo a sandwich cookie is the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And yeah, I've had grandma seizures only twice in my life, but the type I have are, you just stare into space, the roar seizures.
Absence, yeah.
Yeah, that one, absent stare. Yeah, doctors they refer to as tonic clonic at one point, but yeah, that's not the type because first time I had a grandma was I think back in 2022 or 2021.
Oh yeah, I remember you had called me like after it happened, and I'm all like, oh my god, like
And see, everything was it was a different type of experience because see, I think some people when they have seizures, people I've talked to online, they say that they can actually feel when the seizure's coming on. Now I never could do that, but I could tell once I had one the second I wake up because it's like you're doing one thing, like I could be sitting here on the computer talking to her right now. The next thing I'm waking up in my bed because a friend or family member has moved me to a different place, or they just sit me down somewhere because I'm be out of it for just like 5 minutes.
right. And for me, oh god, after having one, the worst feeling in the world is the postictal phase. Now, if anybody knows what the word postictal means, it's just the feelings after you come out of one. You're surrounded by this feeling of fear, dread, confusion. You're trying to catch your breath, and it's just you feel like you feel like you got hit by a truck, honestly, because that's how we kind of feel after one. It's not a fun experience, and it's one of the things that I wouldn't even dare to wish on anyone. Like, I
Yeah.
already don't like wishing harm upon others, but if there's one thing, I feel like the last thing I would wish upon somebody is to go through what it feels like to be post-ictal after a tonic-clonic. Like,
Mhm.
it's worst.
Yeah, and one thing growing up that I never did like about having seizures is taking the medication, but I'm so when I tell you I'm so responsible when it comes to doing that, especially now as a 30-year-old. When I tell you the second I realize I be out of a certain medication, like the next 3 days, I'll blow up the pharmacy's phone until they make sure that I'm getting it the next day or two before I run out. I probably
I
get on their nerves, but I don't care because I'm not gonna risk it, especially now that the seizures has been, especially that the seizures have loosened up and gotten well now. I'm not risking missing this medication because I'm not gonna let one happen.
when it comes to medication, when I get to about, if I have 5 days supplies left, like if my medicine runs to like, okay, you only have 5 days left in this medication, I make sure I have it refilled and everything. Like,
Same.
funny story, I was at work a couple days ago, and I called my medication. I'm like, oh, gotta call my medication. And I called the pharmacy that I got it get it at, and they told me, "Oh, it's already ready." I'm like, "Well, heck, all I gotta do is pick it up. I like the sound of that. Let me go in there and pick it up, pay the money, and walk right out. I'm good."
Hmm.
Speaking of which, I gotta
Yeah.
do that tomorrow after work, I guess.
See?
Maybe.
Like regular
Yeah.
thing.
You know something? I don't go to work till 11 tomorrow, so I should go there, and I should totally go there and pick it up while before I even go to work. I think that'd be a good idea.
See, it's like a regular chore for us. And not only that, now speaking of medication, we are talking earlier about one medication that I think the neurologist puts everyone on, but one of the worst is Keppra because it
Oh,
has
here we go
crazy
with that.
side effects.
Oh my god. Like when I hear that word I kind of get a slight eye twitch, honestly, because it
Yeah.
was that traumatizing for me. Um Now I get with medications for epilepsy. I get that different medications work for some people, but for a lot of people, and a lot of people have what I like to call their Kepper horror stories. Um Pepper just doesn't work for everyone, and
I
that's
never heard it
just
working for anyone. As
I
many
know.
stories as I read on those Facebook pages, they just stop that medication completely.
Okay, so my horror story started off like this. So after I had two or three seizures, and how they usually diagnose it if you have uh three or more seizures. That's how they used to diagnose it. I don't know how they diagnose it now, but this is how they diagnosed it back when I got diagnosed. They said if you have two or more seizures, you would have to be diagnosed with epilepsy and then immediately put on anti-seizure meds. So the first medication that they put me on is levetiracetam, which is the medical term for Keppra.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking, okay, this is, the answer to my problems and everything. They put me on a child side dosage, one tablet in the morning and one tablet at night. And I thought that it nipped everything in the bud, despite the fact that I was experiencing what I would then call tremors, which would obviously be, you know, classified as myoclonic seizures later. And I remember having a really bad grand mal after about a week or two after I had taken this medication. It was not pretty. And then I would start having them more often and everything. And then I remember we were traveling that summer, and I'm sorry if like the story gets a little flaky because like I had
Hmm.
some malls that summer. It messed up my memory really bad, so I only remember bits and pieces of that summer. I remember I was hospitalized twice that summer while we were traveling. I was in Pennsylvania at the time, and Pennsylvania was my home state, but we were just visiting. I had left Pennsylvania when I was 6 to move down to Florida, but we had went up there to visit, and I was put in Hershey Medical twice while there, and I was put in the children's ward. Had a seizure while there, and I remember the I remember the embarrassment of being asked, "Hey, do you know where you are right now? What's your name? What's the current president? What's this? What's that?" And I'm all like, you would think that they would kind of be like, "Hey, hey, are you okay?" They would bombard you with questions, causing more, anxiety. But I think that's just protocol. They have to make sure that, the seizures aren't, messing up things in your brain or whatever. But it is
Yeah.
sick, They upped my dosage to an adult-sized dosage to 3 tablets in the morning to 3 tablets at night, and oh my god, I was in for the worst storm of my life. The seizures were more often and a little more violent. I would go ahead and venture to say from accounts from my dad, my mom, my brothers and sisters telling me this. The seizures were a lot more violent once I got my dosage up. Now I remember pleading with the lady who was I was 17, and so I was considered a minor. So I remember pleading with the pediatric neurologist saying, "Hey, yeah, this stuff's not working. It's causing my seizures to become worse." And she insisted that all I had to do was wait a while to let the medicine kick in, and I'm all like, "I don't think that's how medicine works, and I'm telling you, this thing is making my body worse." And she's just dismissing me because apparently her degree was more important than me knowing my body, but I don't wanna really dwell on that and bring the negative into it.
I
Uh,
promise you, every time now I get on a new medication, first thing I ask them are what are the side effects, because what people don't know are there are some crazy ones that, make us act a certain way and we don't like
oh,
it.
yeah. I had something called, what I call now Kepler rage. Like,
That's what everybody calls it. Yeah.
the littlest thing could trigger, like, extreme anger and frustration. It doesn't matter what it was. I was always angry and in a nasty mood, it seemed like. And this is a little bit of a trigger warning to anybody who's listening right now, but it um one of the side effects that I experienced and a lot of people experience was suicidal thoughts. And
That's the
that
medication too, and it sucks.
one that's one of the ones that I would wish nobody would take. Like, if you have to take it and if it works for you, good, grand, wonderful. But like, I do not like I did not like what it did to me. And I don't like the fact that I had to fight to me being only 17 at the time, being my own advocate for what was going on in my body. I was trying to fight with them to try to tell them, hey, this stuff is not working and it's making things worse. It's something that's supposed to be a solution to my problem is not the solution, but it's perpetuating it, making it worse. And so I remember going back to Florida and I told the doctor, my other neurologist that I had seen, the other pediatric neurologist I was seeing in Florida, he's like, okay, so obviously the Kepler's not working. And I'm all like, oh, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, look, a rocket scientist. I was being so sarcastic. Mentally, I was just so done with seizures. And that's when he prescribed me the medicine that I'm on now and that I've taken for 12 years. And that's Trileptal, oxcarbazepine. It's over
Mm.
is a scientific name, but its brand name is Trileptal. And I'm still on it 12 years later. And it's kept everything under control.
For how
I mean,
long? Tell everyone.
huh?
Tell everyone for
I
how long.
Okay, so at first my initial run with Trileptal, I was seizure free for 5 years. Then they took me off of it in 2018. But 11 months later, I had to be put back on it because, like, well, I started having them again. But from that point, and it was 2019 where I had to get back on it. But from 2019 and on, I've been seizure free for 6 years.
That's amazing. And see, that's why, as women of God, we try to rely like not on the medication, even though we have to go to these doctors and everything. Like I've been so thankful because I remember, like we were discussing earlier, like what's the verse that's been keeping us through the tough times. And I remember at the age of 13 or 14, I was, so upset because growing up in a Christian home and going into church every single Sunday, I was upset at God at one point because I thought, my prayers weren't being answered. And I think it was epilepsy to cause him to be, upset with that, thinking that he wasn't answering prayers and anything. And, because I was having seizures like almost like if not once every 2 weeks, then probably yeah, a little more than that. And it could have been something else too, maybe getting bullied in school. I was just, frustrated. I don't know what. Because if you would see my reaction whenever I had a seizure, when I wake up and friends, yeah, they would see me so frustrated. But as of right now, I'm 8 months seizure free. The longest I had been before that was 5 months after a medication they put me on. But in church we always pray that God guides these doctors. Now a lot of them in the medical field, honestly, I gotta say, don't really care, but there's a few that do.
There is.
Some that actually have the passion for it.
And that's another thing that I wanted to really say. For anybody who's got this condition, find those neurologists that care. There are so many people in the medical field right now, and I'm sorry to say this, and I don't mean to dump on anyone, but there's a lot of them out there in the world and in the medical business that they have the degree and they have the knowledge and they get the check, and that's pretty much what it's relegated to. Some of them have no
Mhm.
passion for what they do, unfortunately, and a lot of the time we're gonna see that, and if you are in with a doctor that doesn't really care about your well-being, like they'll write your prescription and call it a day, but don't ask how you're doing and try to make sure they have a plan that's going to best suit you for your health. Find the doctors that do that. Find the doctors who go above and beyond, because I can guarantee you it's going to make all the difference with your not only with your physical health, but your mental health, your emotional health, and everything. Just find a doctor that's well rounded in all the areas and understands the importance of making sure that you're sustained in all areas. Really, that's what I really think that makes a difference when it comes to doctor's appointments. The reason why people don't like doctors is because, well, some of that back then it used to be because they don't want to hear any bad news about their body.
Yeah,
Nowadays, people don't like going to the doctors because they fear that they're not going to be heard or listened to,
yeah,
and
in fact, they're wasting their money.
that should never be the case. That should never be the case in any form, because the doctors are there to help you and care for you and make sure you're taken care of with your body. And if that's not happening, then there is a problem. There is a huge problem. I mean, you have to they have to prioritize you. They have to prioritize, your health, because that's what their job and their position is, to prioritize your health. And we have to do that too, because like part of it is doing what the doctor tells us, and part of it is doing what, helps our body.
And yeah, like, see, the thing is, I'll never forget. Like, there are several seizures I've had. Not just in college. Like I said, I've had them since I was 10, and there are times I can't remember, like waking up in, not just in my bed, but other places too. I went to Inlet Grove High School here in Riviera Beach for Suncoast for 1 year, but yeah, once when I used to walk to school, and I remember I was literally just about to cross the street. Next thing you know, I'm waking up in someone's yard across the street. But hey, I think to myself, I'm like, wow, I could have been crossing the street and maybe got hit by one of these crazy drivers or something. I could have just, or probably that person could have been home and then thinking like, what are you doing here? Something crazy could have happened. But
Oh
and my
yeah,
mom
and
just happened to not go to work that day, and my dad, yeah, my daddy was already at work, but yeah, my mom didn't leave a day, and I called her, and yeah, she was able to pick me up quickly. Even if they both were going, they still would have got me, of course. But yeah, that was crazy. So they picked me up, and I went right back home, and yeah, just went to sleep. That's one of the difference in my seizures now. Like when I when I had one, I used to get tired and go to sleep. That's another thing. Like they've changed over the years. Now I just wake up and then I go about my day. I definitely
oh,
like had the memory loss too, because um I'll I'll look at what happened. I'm a person like with being, one that loves to write and do film. I'm always taking pictures, or I'm surrounded by my friends or recording everything. Then I look at my Snapchat history or my gallery in the phone, and I like see I don't even remember this happening.
yeah, that's how it was the summer I was diagnosed. Like, if you wanted me to go into specific details of certain things, I couldn't tell you. I'd be at a loss for words. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen you know how, okay, so you're a big SpongeBob fan, right? You're a
SpongeBob,
big
oh
SpongeBob,
yeah.
right?
hmm
I'm a big SpongeBob fan, and there were episodes, and you know the episodes I'm talking about, where they've taken certain episodes and edited out certain scenes to where now we're gaslit into believing that they were never there, that they never existed in those episodes. That's pretty
Yes,
much
and I
how my
know you're
mind
going with this.
like certain details are there, but there's certain parts and certain moments that happened in summer that was completely scrubbed from my memory. I couldn't
hmm
tell you.
Exactly. Yep. That's yeah, Wes, we know they removed those SpongeBob scenes for other reasons, but yeah, we know why those other parts remember were erased due to like either that um side effects from medication or something. That's why college was also a struggle, and maybe some parts of high school, because when I tell you, I'd be that person that would study for weeks for a test, but then the second I get them, like, I don't recall any of this.
Yeah, it
That's
was
another reason I thank God now for having the degree.
like it was a big deal. I was diagnosed this summer for my senior year. From from my freshman year to my junior year, I was a straight A student. Like I would only have to study for a couple, like not even a couple of hours. Like I could study for 30 minutes, an hour tops. Boom, retain information like a freaking computer. Like that's how my brain worked. And after I got epilepsy and started going on this medication, a lot of side effects happened. So I kind of struggled my
Mhm.
senior year. I remember getting my first C on my report card. Um, my first semester back at school, and I remember being devastated because I know that that's not typically me, and I know that I would have gotten straight A's and probably one B because there's always that one class that just won't let you get what you
Yeah.
need. But when I got that C, I was so devastated, and I remember thinking to myself, "Okay, are we gonna sit here and cry and whine and say woe is me? No, we're gonna whip our brain back into shape. Okay, you had your moment to be sick. You had your moment to be down on yourself. Now everything's under control. We're gonna get back to where we were." So I started training my brain in different ways, and I still managed to graduate high school with a 3.9 GPA. Praise God for that.
Yeah.
And college was more of a struggle and everything, but I found ways. I found ways. I pushed myself. Like this, like I don't know if you've ever seen those training montages. Like everybody remembers that Rocky training montage. That's how I felt like I was training my brain. Like, yeah, we're gonna train Rocky, Rocky Balboa style. So that's what I was really doing. And I try to train my brain like that too, especially with this job that I have. Um, with I work at Whataburger. I don't know if anybody's heard of Whataburger.
Yeah.
It's like not really very big in certain areas, but they're starting to spread through. I remember during training week, they said, okay, in order to be on this makeup table, the makeup table is where we assemble all the sandwiches and burgers and whatnot. They said you have to memorize everything that comes on it. I trained my brain to remember every single thing. So if I needed to make something on the fly, I knew how to make it. Like basically me, I could make everything on that menu blindfolded if I wanted to. Like that's how
I'm not gonna lie, I'm the opposite right there. Like, to see, what I was gonna tell people too, when it comes to not the side effects, but you know how we mentioned earlier that, not the side effects, was I gonna say? Yeah, you know how we mentioned people earlier that, when it comes to disabilities, people could see them, but epilepsy, yeah, people, yeah, they can't, because we're an invisible one. Yeah, you can't see it right away. But
no, you can't.
we basically have different talents. Cause y'all, me and both this girl, now we have similar ones, but yeah, some we don't. Yeah, cause both of us, we sing, we're writers, spoken word and stories. But yeah, see that I can't do. Like, sometime memory is a different story.
Oh
Cause
yeah.
I tell people all the time, I'm a woman, but I don't belong in the kitchen. For those of y'all who know McCrae's, like, yeah, most of that's my dad, like my dad's side of the family. Y'all, more of the men can cook than the woman. Now my mom can, but I can cook some things, but very few. And I always tell people, like, it's because, like, since I was young with epilepsy, mom was pretty scared for me to go through a stove, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, I got taught some things, but not a lot. And that's not the only reason, but I mean, guess I just more into, my film and everything else. And no one please make that joke that when you have a future husband, that, I mean, he ain't gonna want you, because listen, it'll be a ways for us to eat. I'm not saying buy McDonald's every night, but you get my
Yeah.
point.
No.
You'll have to you'll have to deal. Other than
Listen,
that, yeah,
there is
listen.
a question that I wanted to ask. And this is probably going to be like a personal question. What were some things that the neurologist said that you wouldn't be able to do once you were diagnosed?
Besides driving, I don't really know. I was young, so I'm pretty sure they didn't mention that, but um, I'm not sure, because, like I said, my triggers, we don't know what they are, and Yeah, and I've been 8 months free now and haven't had any. So yeah, but when I was having them, we had no idea what my triggers are. I've had an EEG once, and they tried every single thing. I told you earlier, I'm so thankful that flashing lights isn't one of them. Since I'm trying to be a movie director and writer, always on a set. Girl, I tell everybody, even at my church, I wouldn't be able to attend the service if flashing lights were a trigger. I'm always outside a lot playing sports with friends, so heat isn't one of them. Or exercising and excitement. I'm not sure if that's one, but who knows? All I know is I'm not
Um,
having him now, so won't know for a while.
I know that I know that one trigger for me was definitely extreme heat. So you could kind of tell that living in Florida didn't do me any
No,
favor when I was having them.
no
No, and
extreme heat right now. I
mind
can
you,
tell you
I
that.
was diagnosed in the middle of summer. I had praised God for the fact that I wasn't in Florida during the most of them were happening. I was out traveling with family and everything. But God,
Hmm.
I remember visiting Pennsylvania and New York that summer, but I can't really remember specific details of visiting, man. It sucked because that was like my first real time in New York, and it really sucked that I can't remember it.
I understand that last time the family went somewhere together, it was somewhere in Florida. I think Tallahassee. The year after my father passed, we did that for the first Thanksgiving without him, and I had like maybe 3 or 4 seizures there. And then yeah, like that's why I said I'm so glad that I record a lot of stuff. I looked at the few videos I had of my nieces and nephews just playing around, and then I was getting so upset. I'm like, see, I don't even remember none of this, and my family doesn't take a lot of vacations, so I was so mad about that because I wasn't remembering anything when I looked at those videos. Like I was like sitting in the corner or something.
Stinks.
Hmm.
It does. I remember when I was diagnosed, one of the things that they told me right off that you're not going to drive. You're not going to drive. That just comes with the territory.
Yeah, see,
Another
they
thing
told me
they
that right away because I was 10, and they kept recommending surgery to my parents, and my mom and dad felt like heck no because of the consequences. And I'm glad they said no to it. My neurologist to this day still like would be recommending the VNS surgery if I still did have him, and we tell him no. And he says it wouldn't even completely get rid of the epilepsy, which would make no sense. So, like, what's the purpose?
I mean, it was like they said I couldn't drive. They said I wouldn't be able to swim. Said I wouldn't be able to cook. Said I wouldn't be able to go and be at school. Said I couldn't go off to college. All of these things. They said I couldn't go to amusement parks and fairs and stuff like that. Anything fun. Like, once you have this disease, oh, your life is over. And as much as I appreciate the work that that particular neurologist did, giving it my diagnosis to my parents straight and everything, I was so tempted because another thing that they said I would never be able to have was a full time job. Um,
That's one thing that's definitely hard to look for. I could tell you right there when it comes to not being able to drive. Now I'm so thankful that once I hit a year free, I'll be able to learn. Because when I tell you it annoys me so much when looking for a job, how they say you need a driver's license, but the job can be like, working somewhere inside and you want to touch a vehicle. I'm like, what do I need a driver's license for? I'm like, well, I tell you, scrolling down Indeed gets so annoying. Like literally. And if you're a person like me that goes somewhere every night of the week, people listen. Get Uber is more expensive than the gas money. I tell my people whenever someone complains about gas money, I'm like, listen, if you have to take Lyft or Uber every day, even if you get a discount due to disability, like listen, it adds up. It's way more pricey than gas money. I'll say it again. Y'all are lucky because you can take more
yeah,
rides with your gas money versus Uber or Lyft money.
yeah, it is. I mean, that stuff adds up. I mean, you get around, but still, at what cost? Like, it just like
Exactly.
it leaves you dry, honestly.
Oh, and people are complaining about their car that does, mess up sometimes. Like y'all, at least you got one.
I mean, at
And
least
don't
you have
even get me
to
started
drive.
about the Uber and Lyft drivers. I have to go. Some of these men, don't get me started. That's why I'm so thankful for family members or friends from my to give me rides back home Like when I'm out doing stuff like with my church groups or whatever. Like when they like, no, don't call the Uber. Like, let me take you home instead. I'm like, thank you. Don't have to. Yeah, they save me money by doing that. Or my mom when she gives me money, and my brothers who send me money sometimes because, like I said, that stuff adds up. And I currently don't have a job, and even when I did, yet stuff adds up. It's crazy.
Hmm.
So yeah, for I know like maybe one person or two people who I know who yeah, not saying any names of course, but yeah, who take Uber who don't have a car but they, know how to drive. It's different though.
Yeah.
Because I've always had to.
Hmm. But there's so many things that, you know, uh, I hold on to. I mean, I talked about, the feeling of depression and feeling like your life was over and everything, but there was a scripture that I found that summer I was diagnosed. Now, mind you, that summer is kind of a blur to me because there's a lot of parts of the summer I can't remember because, again, like, there are
Hmm.
some things that I remember, some things that are completely erased from my memory. But I remember seeing I was in New York and we were visiting a great aunt of mine. God rest her soul. She died a decade ago. But I remember on one of her side tables she had a plaque that read Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And when I read it, I remember letting it sink in. Like, I remember reading the Bible around that time, and I would just kind of glaze over the words, like, "Yeah, okay, I did what I'm supposed to do. I did what I'm obligated to do. Woohoo! I'm a Christian girl who read her Bible." But no, I actually sat and let that scripture sink in, let it really marinate my spirit, and it's something that helps me even to this day with whatever struggle comes my way. And it basically just tells you to just trust in God and let Him, have the wheel. Just let Him take the mantle. Don't lean on your own understanding. Now, to say for preference, before I got diagnosed, I was always this kid who thought she knew everything. Like, I thought I had this whole thing called life figured out. But I don't
Hmm.
see getting diagnosed with epilepsy as a punishment, but more so God's way of saying, hey, you don't know everything about this world. You don't know everything about this life of yours. At any given time, something can happen to you, and you're not going to know what to do. But in those times, I'm trying to teach you that when things seem not to go right, you can always trust in me and I'll cover you. Is what is the universal message that Summer was trying to teach me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that verse for me is definitely Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. For they that wait in the Lord shall renew their strength, and they shall mount on wings with eagle and soar. Because see, like I told you back then, I was a teenager and I thought that he wasn't and I thought he wasn't answering my prayers. Yeah, that definitely helped me understand. I never forget when I heard that verse for the first time in a song and one of my favorite gospel songs, "Day That Wait" by Fred Hammond. Yeah, that really changed my
Hmm.
life. I think when we were on the spoken word team, I even wrote a spoken word about it. Yeah, because yeah, waiting is like something I really hadn't been, taught yet. But at the same time, though, it just made me picture everything differently. That's what made me decide to give my life to Christ at the age of 15 in my old church because yeah, it helped me to understand more because I thought he wasn't answering my prayers. I didn't feel a real relationship with God, even though I grew up in a house, even though I grew up in a Christian household. Plus, I kind of in a way did see epilepsy as a punishment because I thought I was so miserable with it. And even though I did still get mad later on as I had these seizures, um, that everybody always told me people I met with it or in church, some people tell you like God gave it to you for a reason. And then, as I met you and we, began to connect through it, I'm like, maybe it is a reason, that he gave it to us because God, said to use our talents and everything and to, use it in his house. So I thought maybe my reason for, doing this is to, connect with other people. And that's what we call ourselves Epilepsy Warriors to let them know
Amen.
that they're no different from everybody else because of my dream in film, what I want to do, not for the money to be a rich filmmaker or anything, but to spread the gospel. That's what we
Right.
do with our poetry and everything.
Right.
because us having something that's not an obvious disability, people don't even know we have it. Because a lot of
Yeah,
people, it's crazy that I've known for several years. Even I used to have seizures like once every 2 weeks. I could be around them like almost 3 or 4 times a week, but they've never witnessed me have it.
yeah. Um, yes. And like you walk around and they say statistics show that 1 in 6 people have epilepsy, but you can't tell by just looking at somebody. You
Nope, you got to
can't.
figure out when they reveal it.
It's like a lot of different ailments and stuff. Like you can't really tell somebody has cancer unless they're
Hmm.
finally succumbing to the effects of cancer or radiation or chemotherapy. You can't really tell if somebody has epilepsy unless you see them having their spell. Like you can't tell if somebody has, PTSD even unless you see them react to something that caused that traumatic experience in the first place. So like a lot of these disabilities, and I'm just advocating for a lot of things that are invisible here, just be mindful and just be kind and just educate yourself really. I mean, we live in the greatest age of technology. I mean,
For
a
real.
vast uh ocean of wisdom and uh education is out there at the click of our fingers. And sometimes I feel like we waste it on mindless scrolling through social media and listening to misinformation when we could quite literally go on the internet and do our own research. There's literally a digital encyclopedia at the touch of your fingers. You can literally learn about all of these things that you don't know enough about. I do it all the time. I love learning new things. If it makes it makes you less ignorant to what's going on around you, the world around you, and it also makes you a good conversationalist too. The more you know, the
Yep.
better you speak. The more you know, the more that you can contribute to a conversation. The more you know, the less ignorant you will be in a sense. So educate yourself, learn more about things because God forbid it could happen to you. It could happen to
Yep.
somebody you love at any point in time because again, we're humans and we don't know what can happen to any of us at any given point in time. Anything
Yep.
can happen.
Yeah, we pray it doesn't happen to you or loved one, but
We
with
pray it
that being
doesn't
said, we
happen,
wanted to
but we
educate
never
you on
know.
it.
Hmm.
This Epilepsy Awareness Month, all November, so we wanted to represent. I'm fighting 8 months. This girl is 6 years strong, and I'm Deja McCrae. This is say it again.
So, Dej, what are we doing now? What are we doing now with our lives? I mean, what's our, testimony at the end of it all? Like, what do we do?
I definitely plan. I'm coming out with a book soon called Strength Through the Storm. Hopefully, it gets published within the next year, and I will be selling it. And what are you doing? Yes.
Currently, I'm working at Whataburger. I'm on my way to a promotion, so that's really good to know that, my hard work paid off. I remember earlier I mentioned all the things the doctor says I couldn't do. Well, they said I wasn't going to be able to go back to school during my senior year. Went back, graduated with a 3.9 GPA. They said that I wouldn't be able to go to college. Went to SCU, graduated. Hey, um, they said I wouldn't be able to swim. I love swimming. It's one of my favorite things to do. Said I wouldn't be able to cook. I just made a big old pot of chili last night. As far
Yeah,
as
this girl
holding down
takes a lot.
a job and everything, I've done that. My most recent job before I came up to South Carolina, I was working at a nursing home for 2 years as an activities assistant, full time, mind you. And the sky is just the limit. The last thing I feel like I have to do on my little bingo card is learn how to drive, and then I was so tempted to just drive to the place that told me I couldn't do all this stuff and present
I
like a
know.
work stuff, be like, so what was that? What was it that you said I would never be able to do again?
I'm so ready if they told me I couldn't do that. And yeah, I actually forgot to mention that book, Strength of the Storm, once it's out. I have a degree in film production. Now it's so hard to find a job out here with that degree because they say something doesn't match. with anything else, but I plan for that to be a movie one day
That's gonna be
because
good.
yes, I just like my dad, my grandfather, grandparents, and aunt. Most of you know them. Yes, they followed their dream jobs as well, and I want to do the same thing. Trying to find something to do in the long run, but yes, I will definitely be putting that out there when it is ready.
Mhm.
Anything else? Yes.
Yeah, I honestly just want to encourage people out there who are battling epilepsy. Like, you're not alone.
Yes.
This is not the end of your life. This is not the end of anything. Like, the doctors will tell you one thing, but God will have the final say.
Exactly.
Um, just find something that, you love doing and do that, because once you find something that you're passionate about and you do that, it really eases the mind, it really eases the level of stress. There's a lot of fear in everything. I remember watching about a couple of months after I was diagnosed and everything was put under control. I remember seeing this video about kids um, explaining their experiences with epilepsy, and these kids are amazing. These kids are like, well, yeah, I know that I have this condition, but I still, you know, I skateboard, I cheerlead, I play basketball, I do this. And I was just hearing these kids just saying, oh, yeah, well, I got epilepsy. Yeah, big deal, but I still do this. And seeing that at 17, these kids that couldn't be any older than 10 years old, maybe,
Hmm.
that touched me and blessed me as an individual, because I'm all like, well, if these little guys can keep going, well, why can't I? You
That's
know?
why I'm glad my parents actually weren't too overprotective with it. The only reason I didn't even have a curfew growing up is because I didn't have like, real friends in high school. Like I didn't have like a lot of friends to hang out with in high school or whatnot. Otherwise they probably wouldn't even care if I've been spending time like as much as I do now. But I mean I'm 39, I just still live with my mom. But other than that, definitely have a curfew now because I'm a woman. But yeah, I never had one. I just didn't have a lot of time to spend with friends because I didn't have a lot of friends back then, probably like just two in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I did stuff like sports, they weren't overprotective with.
Oh yeah, I remember after
They let me go ahead and join.
I remember getting put on my medication that I take still now, and I immediately wanted to go back to my independent life. I wanted to start walking to church by myself again. And I remember for like a solid month, my dad wouldn't let me walk to church by myself, and I'm like, Dad, I'm fine, nothing's gonna happen. Oh no, I'm gonna drive you because I don't want anything to happen. And I'm like, okay, fine, because usually
Yeah, in
he was
fact,
just
I
like,
only asked my parents to drive me to school. Like remind you, I said it's down the street from my house. I'd only ask them to drive me to school because I didn't want to be late. Because even if they know you're a car rider or a walker, those teachers would get mad at you for being late. I'm like, hey, listen, it's not my fault. Because if anybody knows me, I'm a timely person. I hate to be late to anything, even though I couldn't stand
oh yeah,
school.
being late's my pet peeve too.
Hmm. Back at SCU, girl, I would be there before the professors.
Just be waiting outside the classroom, like, oh, okay. Oh, hey, professor, what's up? Yeah, okay, let me open the door for you, professor.
That was me.
Yeah, this girl was everywhere on campus. I swear she was at every event, every chapel
Yep.
service. Like, she was doing the dang thing.
Yep. Still like that now.
But yeah, that's good that you were like that, man. I mean, if there's one thing I know about Daisy, she never let anything stop her or slow her down. She just kept going, man. She, like, the Energizer Bunny doesn't have anything on her, honestly. You remember those commercials? Energizer just keeps going and going and going. No, 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 no. The Energizer Bunny has nothing on this girl. Like, let me tell you something.
Thank you. Yes, and like this girl mentioned, she does cook. Girl, that's one business you could probably start because I've seen pictures of those meals. I haven't got to try them, but they look pretty good.
I love it. I love cooking. I love throwing down in the kitchen, man.
To take over what a burger starting the menu.
It's therapeutic, honestly. It's therapeutic. Um, just putting a concoction of things together and just seeing people enjoy it. Like whenever I went on a trip with friends, I would always be like, I'm cooking breakfast. And it was my way of like, my two love languages are words of affirmation and acts of service.
Hmm.
So I'd get up early in the morning, make everybody breakfast, be like, "Eat up, guys! We got a big day ahead of us. Go ahead, eat." And seeing them enjoy the breakfast really kind of makes me happy because one of the best ways to fellowship is through food and everything. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I like cooking so much.
it's one of the best ways. So to all our fellow epilepsy warriors, definitely represent us this month, and not just this month, but all year. And
And
remember, you
please
are
wear
not
your purple.
alone.
And please wear your purple because purple is just such a pretty color, and it means royalty too. I mean, who wouldn't want to be royalty? You know.
When they ask what's your favorite color, don't say pink, say purple.
Oh no, I don't like pink. Purple is my favorite color, by the way.
Yeah, same. I do wear pink every now and again, but I mean purple. Yeah, favorite one.
And funny enough, I do have a lot of pink in my wardrobe, despite me not liking the color. And my boyfriend's the one who pointed it out. He's all like, "For somebody who doesn't like pink, you have a lot of pink in your wardrobe." I'm like, in my defense, a lot of this pink were gifts from other people. Like I didn't buy it for myself; they were gifted to me. So,
But yeah, it happens.
yeah, but yeah, uh, wear your purple, represent, and remember, you guys aren't in this fight alone. We're all here. We're all connected. We see you, feel you, we love you.
Yes, we do.